Okay. Oh, sorry. Hi. Better? Well, hi, I'm James. I'm originally from Brazil. I know it doesn't look like it, but I was born in Brazil and I moved to London 3 years ago. And even though I do speak Portuguese, we're going to do it in English so everyone can participate. And it's also being recorded, so it's going to be shared online so everyone can watch it. So I'm going to talk to you about building accessible conversation experience with actions on Google. But before we start, let's have a think. Oh, okay. So Google Assistant is running on a lot of devices. So a lot of devices today have Google Assistant embedded into them. And these are speakers, tablets, even the headphones and everything. And this is about 500 million devices around. So it's a big block of devices around that you can interact with using the Google Assistant. So you're going to go say, hey, Google, and something will happen. So it's available in quite a few languages already. So English, French, German, Spanish, Portuguese from Brazil, but not European Portuguese, unfortunately, yet. Hopefully it will be there soon, but you can do Google Assistant actions in Brazilian Portuguese. I know it's not perfect, but depending how you write your actions, it will feel like your Portuguese. So how does it start? So this is you as a user. You're going to go ahead and say something. So you're going to create an input, say, hey, Google, talk to my app, tell me about the weather, anything like that. The Google Assistant is going to receive that data, that voice, and it's going to convert it to text. So there's a lot of machine learning around that, a lot of technology that will convert your voice into some text. Then that will go to create an API request and go to a specific action. We'll dig into the actions in a bit, but so it goes to an action, the action is going to do some logic, it's going to do some magic, then it returns a response to the assistant that's going to convert it back to voice or display or something, and it's shown to the user. So Google Assistant is a platform that you interact with, and then you've got it's a conversation that's going to happen between you and Google, and it's going to get things done. But you guys here to learn how to write your own action. So for that reason, Google created actions on Google. So it's a way for you to extend the Google Assistant, where you can write your own actions. There's also the Google Assistant on devices, so like the Google Home or phones, etc., that implement the Google Assistant. Then there's two ways to interact with Google Assistant. So first of all, there's implicit triggering. So what's going to happen is you're going to say, hey Google, I want to work out. Or hey Google, what's a surf report? And hey Google, I want to play a game. Now, these aren't being triggered to a specific action. You're just asking about it. So it doesn't know where to go. So Google will handle that. But if you want to have your own app, what's going to happen is that you are going to go and say, hey, Google, talk to my app. So it's going to go and find your app and talk to it. So in this case, talk to GDG Lisbon, right? So we want to create our app for GDG Lisbon. So you can go and say, hey, talk to GDG Lisbon, or get GDG Lisbon, or connect me to GDG Lisbon. And there's several ways for you to do that. And Google, because it has all that machine learning, will understand what you're trying to achieve. Oh, there's in the case of the explicit triggering, then what's going to happen is, like I said, Google's going to convert that text, that voice to text. So it's going to get the OK Google, let's talk to, and it's going to have the trigger phrase. So it knows you're trying to interact with an app. And then it's going to find the action name, that's your action name, your app name, In this case, we're calling it GDG Lisbon. But you can also be smarter and make it give data to it directly instead of it opening the app and then you're saying, oh, I want to do something. So you can go and say, okay, ask GDG Lisbon. Then it's gonna you're gonna pass for the event date time. So you're gonna have an action preposition and the phrase. So then it's gonna ask for the event and time. So it's gonna open your app and trigger that text in your application. So for example, you've got already working examples where you've got Domino's. So let's speak to Domino's. Or you can say, ask Dr. Doggy if dogs can eat chocolate. So it's going to open Dr. Doggy action and ask if dogs can eat chocolate. So to get started, there's several ways you can write your own actions. The first one is you can use the templates. Now the templates are very easy to set up. In 5 minutes, you got your action up and running. The way the options you've got a personality quiz. So it's going to ask you a set of questions, and it might say you're a strong person, you are smart. Or for example, I did one that it asks you about heroes. So you say, I'm strong, I'm green, and then it's going to know you're Hulk, for example, or I fly and I'm rich, things like that. So Iron Man, so you can kind of play around with that. There's also flashcards that will ask you a question about something. So maybe you want to play a game with someone to see how many questions you get right. It's going to ask you a specific question, you answer it, you get a point, and you move on. And also there's a trivia that's has more questions, kind of similar to the flashcards, but it comes with a set of questions that you can answer and play around. Now, these are very easy to set up. You're going to just open the actions on Google and select the template, and it will provide you a spreadsheet, so Google's spreadsheet. And basically, what you're going to do is you're going to fill in the spreadsheet. You're going to get the template. You're going to fill it in, and you copy the link of the spreadsheet. You deploy it to Google Assistant, and it's up and running. You can go on your phone and say, talk to my app, and it'll already start working. Because you're testing it, it's going to work on your account only. Once you're finished, you deploy it to the public, and then it will be available. But it's very easy to set up. The other option we've got is you can do your own smart home integration. So imagine you're a smart home customer that you've already have IoT devices out there that you already want to interact with. So Google provides a way, an API that will easily interact with your assistant. Then you can easily go ahead and say, turn on the lights. That's going to trigger an action to your backend, and you're going to get that data and you know what lights to turn on. Or it's going to say, what's the temperature? How many lights are on? Dim the lights. What are the things in the living room? And make it warmer. So all of that is going to go to your backend, and you don't have to rewrite everything for the Google Assistant. It's all already there. You just have to integrate that. You can also do actions on devices. So you can put actions on that device, so it will do custom actions. So for example, last Google I/O, they had this kind of ice cream maker, and you would say, I want a pineapple ice cream, and it would just mix things and give it to you with all on the actions. So the actions were running on the device itself, so you can write your custom actions directly there. But this is all great, but we want to write something robust. The template's fine if you want to play a simple game. You can put the actions on this, but we want to have a mid-level, right? So we want to have a conversation with the assistant, easy, and create our own product. So I'm going to show a video. I hope it works. And a very simple app that Wayne here is going to show you.
Okay, Google, let me talk to Personal Chef.
Sure, here's Personal Chef. Hi, I'm your personal chef. What are you in the mood for?
Well, it's kind of cold outside, so I'd like something to warm me up, like a hot soup, and I want it fast.
All right, what protein would you like to use?
I have some chicken and also some canned tomatoes.
Okay, well, I think you should try the chicken tomato soup recipe I found on example.com.
Sounds good to me.
Cool. So that was a real conversation with an app that's quite simple to set up. So if we have a look, what happened was he triggered the action. Okay, Google, talk to personal chef. That was converted to text by the Google Assistant and all the machine learning, all the magic. And then it knew what action to trigger, so it's going to go ahead and trigger your action and start the personal chef. So it says, here's personal chef, and then it's going to go to your action and trigger the welcome intent. So it's going to invoke your action, so it's going to go to your backend, or depends how you implement it, go to your spreadsheet, and then you're going to get a response back, and you're going to ask a question, or you maybe going to give an answer, and then the user interacts with it again. And in this case, he was talking about, I want a hot soup, something warm, and a lot of things. So then that's going to be all converted to text and sent to your action again. And you can do some magic on your backend. So maybe doing some logics, maybe you're doing some machine learning. Well, whatever you want to do, and we'll get to that. And then you're going to return that, and it's going to go to the user. And again, you can ask a question or give the answer, like, oh, a chicken soup might work. But that sounds a bit complicated, right? The user's saying a very specific phrase. And imagine that on your backend, you would have to have a big, long list of all the answers the user has to give. So imagine he's going to say, yeah, today is cold, or, oh, I'm feeling a bit chilly. So it's two different words. How can you map all these together in a smart way? Because you're just going to keep getting text. So, for example, the cold, what you want to capture from the user is the cold word, the warm, hot, soup, and fast. So those are the key elements that you want to be sent to your action. So you can do your logic and return, okay, based on these options, this is what I'm going to give the user as a recipe. But again, if you're going to do regex on this, imagine how complex it would be. You would have to break up the phrases. You wouldn't know what he's talking about. So it's quite complex. So there's this thing called dialog flow. Who has heard about dialog flow here? Okay, one person. Good. So yes, I'm here to teach you about dialog flow. So dialog flow is the platform that will interact with the assistant and convert those phrases into something that you can use as a developer. So you're going to have intents. So those are good. Intents means you want to achieve something. So the user wants something from you. So it's going to convert those intents, those phrases, into something that you can use. And then you're going to extract those entities, so those values, those parameters you want to capture that are really important. And if you have a look at the project, this is how it's going to look. So you have several training phrases that you can match all the parameters you want, and then these will be the ones that will be sent to you. So you're going to receive chicken. So you're going to receive, he wants to cook something, and chicken. Done. You don't have to worry about regex or anything. Or he wants a cold dessert, and he wants it now. So it's something fast. So you're going to receive fast, quick, or hot soup, and all these phrases you add, and the dialog flow will do the machine learning to understand where all these are located. And as your app grows, there's a training tab here that allows you to go there and select, okay, these phrases weren't mapped by the users because maybe you didn't add enough training phrases to it. You can go ahead and select that, and it's going to have a phrase that you didn't map, and you can add it and link all these things. And also, if there's something missing, so maybe you've got 4 parameters, you can just go ahead and ask the user because you know that is missing. You didn't manage to map it. So if we go back to our diagram here, what's happening is that we want to put dialog flow in the middle here, where it's going to convert that, make that logic, and give you the values you want. So now we're going to receive a trigger welcome intent. event. So this is when your app is initialized. You can do some magic there. You can ask a few things from the user. And also, you got to get that intent matching with those entities, those values, and then you're going to receive it to your backend. The way it works is that Dialogflow will call your backend, so you can provide the fulfillment URL, and it will send the data in JSON to you. So you're going to get that data in JSON. You're going to read those parameters, and then you can return a JSON back. There is a Node.js, how do you call it, module that you can write everything in Node.js and return it easily. And this is how we're going to, these are the examples I'm going to show to you. So it supports speech, display, and text. So all these things. So imagine, like, one of the main topics of this talk is about accessibility. So you have to think about users. So maybe someone can't read because they're blind. Maybe someone can't hear because they're deaf, or a mix of those. So this, the assistant allows you to display display images, display text, play the audio, and all of that makes it very accessible to users. So let's start with something simple. Let's give a simple response to the user. So we've got an intent triggered, and so let's say the welcome intent or something like that, and you want to display. So this is in JavaScript, but you can also write it in TypeScript if you want. And you're going to create a new simple response. So we're going to say a speech. So howdy, I can tell you facts about almost any number. So we have a number game here. And like 42, what do you have in mind? And then you give it a number, and it's going to return something for you. Or you can show some text. So if they got their phone, you want to show a different text, because maybe you want more information on the text, or maybe you want to make it smaller so they don't spend time reading it. It's up to you. Remember, thinking about accessibility, how can you engage with these users? And this is how it would look on the phone. So it would show the text and play the audio with something different, how you set it up. But let's think about what's happening. So you got your user, he talked with you, you got a response back, and now you want to give an answer, but maybe you don't know what answer to give. Maybe you're thinking about it. So one of the things, cool things is you can also add suggestions. So they don't know what number they're thinking about. So you can say, oh, 0, 42, 100, or never mind, I don't want to play, I don't like your app, and goes away. And then when it shows on the app, you're going to get these suggestions. So the user can click on them, or they can say them, and they'll be triggered the exact same way. But maybe you want to display something more cool. You want to display an image. You want them to click on the something, and something happens. So in this case, there's also something called basic cards that you give you have to give a first phrase to the user, because maybe the device doesn't have a screen, or maybe the device doesn't support a card. So you say, this is the math and prime numbers, and then you start your basic card, and you can put a text. So your card is going to have some text. You can also add a title to it, and a button. So maybe you want a button that when the user clicks on that button, something happens. So in this case, we're going to create our button with a simple title and a URL. So the URL will open that link. So maybe you want to open your company's web page. Maybe you want to show them something on Wikipedia. So when they click on that button, it's going to open that web page and go out. And you want to display an image maybe. So you want to make it look nice. So you provide the link of the image and accessibility. Remember, think about accessibility. Maybe that person can't see the image. So always consider everyone that can talk with your app. Then this is how it's going to look. So we got our image and our text and our button. So when they click that button, it's going to open that link that you provided. But maybe you want to do even more. You want to make it even more cool. So there's other two options that you've got is that there's carousels and lists. So the carousel is something that you can scroll. So you can put several items. So maybe someone's asking about, so talking about those recipes, maybe they're asking, oh, I want the chicken, I want a few options. I want either the chicken soup or the meat or wherever. So if you scroll them, you can then click and go to the recipe. Or if you're thinking about a really long list or you want to display them one under the other, you can just use the list. And again, they support images, interactions, text. So quite engaging, and remember that if you're using it on your phone, it would look quite cool. But this is all great, but imagine that you don't have access to the information of the user yet. Because like on Android, you can't just go ahead and say, oh, I know where you are, start tracking their data. You're not allowed to do that, so you have to ask permission from the user. So in this example, we're going to say, the user's asking, recommend me a bookstore, but your app doesn't know where they are. You don't know where they live. So you have to ask them that. It's like, okay, to find bookstores near you, I have to get your zip code from Google. Is that okay? But how do we ask the user that? How do we write the code? So there's a permission class that allows you to ask for the permission. So you're going to explain why. So you give them the context, why you're trying to access their data, and what permission you're asking for. So in this case, we're asking for their location. So it's going to go ahead, ask the user, is it okay to provide the app the location? You're going to say, yeah, that's fine. And then it's going to ask the user. At the moment, there's these three permissions. So you can ask for the location or the precise location. So the coast location will give them the zip code and city, or the device location will give a very accurate position. You can also ask for their name. You don't even have access to their name without asking for permission. And then if you have their name, then you can make it your app more interactable. Say, hey, welcome James, welcome John, or whatever. Now, again, thinking about accessibility, imagine that everyone's got a phone, but maybe you're at home, maybe you're interacting with the Google Mini that you just won. That doesn't have a screen, so you have to be concerned about that. You have to try and think global, think about all the devices that can access your app. So you want to make sure that you're giving them the best experience, that you're giving it to the person that maybe has limitations on visualizing or can't hear. So like I said, you've got devices that don't have a screen. So you've got the Google Home, the speaker, or you've got devices that do have a screen. So how do we interact with those? How do we know what the user is using? So you can use the surface. So we're going to have an intent that needs a screen. And then we're going to check if that surface has the capability of screen. So if this has a screen or not. If it does, well, we show our UI element. That's great. Or if it doesn't, you can either just respond the text like you've seen in the past, or maybe what you want to do is show that image. Maybe it's something really important. Maybe it's a link of something. So what you can do is that you can create a new surface, and with that capability, and give it a context and a notification title. Now, what this is going to do is it's going to go to your account, your Google account, and check which devices you've got that supports this. So in this case, if you're talking to your Google Home and you want to see an image, you want to see a web link or something like that, you check on your code, you check. I can't show you because the device doesn't have a screen. So you're going to go and create a new surface. What's going to happen is it's going to ask, oh, I can't show you, and then this device doesn't have a screen. And it will ask, do you want to show it on your phone or on whatever device you've got? And if you say yes, that will trigger notification to your phone. So it's going to vibrate on your phone. You're going to, or play a ringtone or whatever. You're going to click on the notification, and you're going to continue exactly where you were on the Google Home. So that's pretty cool from my point of view, because you just continue the conversation on your new device, and you don't lose all that context. So engage your action. Now, we talked about display, we talked about speech, we talked about carousels, but maybe you want to make, now you know how to make the visual more nice, but maybe you want to make the audio more cool. You just don't want a voice, you want music, you want to play media and all of that. So you can also use this SSML, that's synthesized markup language, that allows you to write what it's going to speak in a very cool way. So you can say, here are the interpret characters, so it knows it has to read SSML samples, and then you can add a pause for a dramatic effect maybe. So it's like maybe you're waiting for someone to clap, right? And then you can play a sound, so you're having that continuous flow, and you're going to play a sound, you're going to play a music or something like that. You can also say the numbers, dates, special characters, and also this is all chained up. So all of this is going to continuously be played. But there's a cool thing that's not shown in here, is that you can play all of this in parallel. So maybe you want to play a music in the background while the Google Assistant is saying something. So it's telling a story maybe. Maybe you have an app that tells a story. So it's going to play that music in the background, playing the story, make your app really engaging. You can also tweak the voice, so it can speak very slowly or very fast. And all of this you can tweak by using this SSML. And all of this you can put in your code and provide that. And when you send it back to the Google Assistant, it will play in the order you provided. So it's pretty cool. If we have time, I can play a sample for you. You've got a library, so Google provides a library that has a few voices in there that you can use instead of having to provide everything. So you can go ahead and have a look in this link. By the way, we will be tweeting the presentation after, so don't worry about memorizing all the links or anything. Then you can just go back and pick up what you think is most interesting to make your project. But you know how to write the code now, or I hope you do. And now you want to create your actions. But before you do that, let's think about how we're going to do it, how we're going to design our action, how we're going to make it cool, instead of just code, and it looks crazy. So first of all, create a persona. So create a character or a few characters, that person that you're thinking of interacting with. So thinking about accessibility. Oh, maybe I've got someone that's blind, someone that's incapacitated. How we're going to think about those, how we're going to make them a really good experience. So think about them, right? Then if you're thinking about a persona, think about the tone you're talking to them, what you want to try to achieve, the phrases that you're going to give to them, how you're going to design the interactions, your functions, the style, how you're going to display it, what techniques you're going to use, what kind of voice you're going to use. Because Google Assistant allows you to define several types of voices. Maybe you want a male voice, maybe you want a female voice. And you can change that. Maybe you want to make that voice more subtle with the SSML. So based on that, who's your population? Who are you going to talk to? Is it going to be just Portugal? Is it going to be Europe? Is it going to be the whole world? How many languages is it going to be? What do they need? What do you want to give to them? Your branding, your images. So let's think about a pizza place. So you want to have a pizza place app, right? So someone's going to order pizza. So imagine create that persona in you, and then you start your app and you're going to say, "Cowabunga, dude." Maybe that will scare a few people, right? Or what are you craving? Okay. Or maybe you want to do a bus app, right? That you're going to go ahead and say, the bus is approaching your stop, but you're home or you're at work. You're like, too late. I don't want to know if the bus is arriving now. You want to know when the next bus will arrive. So you have to think about these things. Or your trip will take 45 minutes, so you're already in the bus, too late. So you have to think about these cases, right? What's happening in the environment. So I want to buy a pizza, and it's getting there, so the pizza's on the way, and you can look at your order. So think about what your app wants to achieve. And I want to buy a bus ticket. I want to know if the bus is arriving soon or not, but not that it already arrived, right? And I want to review the schedule so I know when the next one's coming in. So think outside the box, right? So again, are you going to just sit down, okay, I've got an idea, and write code, create a structure, code. No. What you want to do is you want to create a dialogue with the user. So let's think about a dialogue. So you've got that persona asking you something. They're going to ask you, I want pizza. And then you go, okay, here are the options. Or do you want to have your what you always order? Think about that. Then you can start thinking about your structure. Then you can start thinking about your code, because you've got all the ideas sorted out. And also think that there's no errors. So if your action doesn't know what to do, you're just going to say, oh, sorry, I don't know what to do, and close the app? Or are you going to try and be more interactive with the user? So think about all of the things that can happen. There's the dog barking, the person isn't speaking, they're speaking in a different language. So all of that is you have to take in consideration when it happens, because it's real life user conditions, right? So say something, I don't understand you, or when an error occurs in a conversation, it should be treated simply as a new turn in the dialogue. So something happened, try again, right? So they have intent, they want to achieve something. They're talking with the app because they want to achieve something. They're not doing it for fun. Well, maybe. So what to include? The happy path. So design that happy path when everything is going well. The first time experience. So the first time your user arrives, you want to ask them a set of questions. That maybe you want to store that so you can use it later. And when they come back, you say, oh, I already know about your pizza. Do you want to have your favorite pizza? And then yes, and then thank you very much, and go away. The return user, like I just mentioned. Repair, so something went wrong. So imagine that something went wrong. So we've got our Number Genie app here that will give, you try and guess the number that the Number Genie is thinking about. So you're going to say, talk to Number Genie. Yeah, sure, here's Number Genie. It will say, welcome, then I'm thinking of number between 0 and 100. Then what's your first guess? And the user says nothing. So you're just going to wait, or maybe you're going to say, yeah, I didn't hear anything. Okay, great. And then they don't say anything again. I was like, okay, thank you very much. You're still not there. What's your guess? And this can go forever. Maybe they forgot. They went to take care of their kid. They went to work, and your action is running. So you have to think about what you can do. So have kind of a limit of how many fails your app can have. Maybe 2, 3. So after 3 attempts, you say, okay, sorry, I can't detect what you're trying to say, and just close. And also, they want to terminate the conversation. So yeah, here's Number Genie, and I'm thinking about a number between 0 and 100, and the user says 21, and it's higher than 21. What's your next guess? And then I don't care. I give up. So it's like, okay, here's what I was thinking for anyway. It was 90, and you can say thank you very much and go away, or try and interact with them more. So think about those cases. Give users credit. They know what they're trying to talk about. Everyone knows how to talk. Everyone knows what they want to achieve. So don't treat them as, I can't say that because it's recording, but don't treat them as, never mind. So they know what they want to achieve, right? So they know what they want. They know what they want to get out of your app. If they're talking with your app, there's a reason for it. And they want to help. They want to achieve something. They want to get there. And when you ask again the same question, it sounds annoying. So try and rotate how you ask questions. So on Dialogflow, for example, you can provide a set of responses. So instead of giving the same response every time, you can have like 20, and Dialogflow will randomly select those. So you can say, oh, I didn't understand. And next time it will say, sorry, can you repeat that? Or can you give me more context? So the users want to help. They're usually not going to say the exact same thing. They're going to say something different. So use the context. So use the environment. Use what they're talking about, what they're doing, what kind of device they're using. How can you display that in a better way? How can you do suggestions? Think about the situation, what they want to achieve, what's their intent, what they have in mind, what's happening before that. So they already talk with your app. They've been 5 minutes talking with your app, asking us, telling, I want pizza with pepperoni, special cheese, crust, and all of that. So keep that so you can continue the conversation. You're not going to ask them every time the same question. And what do your users know going in? So what data can you use to enrich the experience? How can you ask permissions from the user to make the experience good and engaging? So examples of strategies. You can have rapid response for errors. What was that? Say that again. Or reframe the question. So it's like, what time is this for? Oh, sorry, what time? For when? What time you want to book this for? So kind of change the way you ask the questions, because maybe they didn't understand it. Ask another way. If it helps, we can do this one piece at a time. So break it up, maybe. And be ready for questions about questions. So I have your name and email for your account, so let's all need is your phone number. You can give me the day, the time, or both. And be proactive. So I could put this down for 6 for now, because so they're trying to book, maybe they're trying to book a doctor, so you have a doctor app, and they didn't give you the time. So you can offer the time because you know what time's available, and they can say, yeah, that works for me. Instead of asking, what time can you have it? Oh, I can have it at 5. Oh, no, we can't do it at 5. Oh, but how about 4? No, we can't do it at 4. So just give them the option. So be proactive. And then make it simple. Make it simple questions and answers. Don't make it boring, like reading a book almost. They're going to fall asleep, right? So make it short and easy. What's next? I've given you a lot of information, but how are you going to write your app? How are you going to get ready and build your action and put it out there in the world? Well, first of all, you can have a look at what's around. So there's the Google Assistant directory with all these available actions already. So you can explore it, have ideas, think about how you can make your app amazing, kind of see what other people are doing. Another thing that Google is promoting is that they're creating this Actions on Google community program, where if you publish your action, you're going to receive a free t-shirt and $200 cloud credits for a year. So the only thing you have to do is create an action that's good enough, publish it, and you get these things. Quite simple, right? There's also the cloud, the code labs that you can do all this coding and learn how it's done, and you go step by step following them. I think talk more about that, and also how to get started. What else kind of resources we got? So we got the console, so you can go in the build your actions console, explore it, look at the templates, look at the Dialogflow, have a look at all of that. You can go and build them with the templates, Dialogflow, or you can use the SDK. Maybe you want to make a smart device. So maybe you want to go full IoT, get that Android Things kit, put the Actions SDK on it, make it turn your fridge on or your air conditioning, or make it really cool. That would be nice, right? You got all the documentation, the code labs, and how to write and deploy your functions. Like I mentioned, Dialogflow works with Node.js, so you can use your Firebase Cloud Functions, so you can write everything in Cloud Functions. You don't even need a backend to have your own infrastructure. You can just go and do Firebase init, then you do Firebase deploy, and that's going to deploy your code to Google Firebase. And then you got your Cloud Functions and your Google Assistant. You can connect it to Firebase database. You can connect it to some machine learning, BigQuery, all of those Google things that are around. You can use that by using the Cloud Functions easily, and there's no back-end work for you. It's also in the code lab, so you can have a look. And like I mentioned, that you can use the Cloud Functions with Firebase. What else? You got the Google Plus developer community, more videos, Dialogflow, Twitter, so you can ask questions there, and the mailing list. And that's it. And just last thing, sorry. You can keep in touch if you want. There's my website, Twitter, and also the Slack for the GDG Lisbon, where you can enter there. I'll be there all week to help you build your action for the 27th June. Yeah, Saturday.
Yeah, thank you so much once again. Thank you, James. See ya.
Muito obrigado.
Did you see? Sure, here's the test version of Casterio.
Welcome back. Your favorite hero is Iron Man.